Hey, so I'm down here on Tuesday, this rainy Tuesday, kind of a typical Portland day, right? And Matt from TriMet was good enough to call us down here and ask us to look at what they've done with some 8-inch ceramic buttons. If you look up and down the street, you guys have done a full treatment. Can you explain to us what you're trying to solve for, what you're trying to do here?
Yeah, sure thing, Jeff. What we're trying to do is keep automobiles out of our trackway. That's a cause for major delay for our trains, our passengers, and also the traveling public at large. When we have autos, wayward autos, coming into our exclusive trackway, it can really cause a lot of problems for our system, for our passengers, our trains, our operators. It causes a lot of grief for them. So we're trying to keep people in their own lanes. Stay in your own lane. That's the name of the game.
You know, looking at it as a motorist, I don't come down here as often as I used to, and just it's a busy environment. There's a lot going on, and just as I'm looking at what you've done here, it seems to be very obvious where I would want to be as a driver and where not. And I would think that's just a huge advantage for you. Like you were talking about the 3 E's.
Correct.
Yeah.
Engineering, enforcement, and education. So what we're talking here is the engineering side of things, the physical things that we have installed in our right-of-way to help delineate, to help keep people where they need to be.
Well, you know, when I got excited when I was called about this project, because I believe you're working with Carolina at our shop.
We like Carolina.
We like her too. She's fun. So she told us about this opportunity, and we were thinking, okay, this 8-inch ceramic button has been around a long time, but when I see it deployed in such a big project, I think what I was excited about coming down here with you about is that concept of sharing ideas to other people, right? And there might be other agencies that struggle with a similar thing where they want to get a little bit more stringent with their compliance aspect of what they're asking the motorist to do. And I'd say this accomplishes that. So far, you're just getting started, and then you're going to do a deep look and see if it's the effective countermeasure for you?
Exactly. This is a test strip, if you will. There's 4 blocks here in downtown Portland along our busiest Max Blue line where we run the most number of trains on our system.
Okay.
And something you alluded to earlier, there is a lot going on. It's not just trains and motorists. There's also buses, our transit buses, there's bicycles, there's pedestrians, and there can be a cascading effect if one is confused on what to do. Say a pedestrian jumps out in front of a car and a car takes evasive moves. You know, I mean, it can have a ripple effect on our transit system, something that has nothing to do with the operations of our trains.
Right, and how one action can back up blocks, really.
Correct, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So getting that compliance is right. So I'm not an engineer by trade, but I get to know you guys, and it's really cool. And our product offering, when you and I were talking about pavement markings, you know, we were talking about different things that we can do, and we kind of look at it like a toolkit, right? Like I never know what you guys, how you're going to use it, but we just want to make sure that we're having the product available for you and on time, and that it meets your specifications. So
yeah, absolutely. And your team's been great to work with. We got the product selected and delivered, and we were able.
What's that? What was that?
So that's
I'm kidding.
That's a high, yeah, no kidding, right? So
what was that sound, Landy?
That was one of our trains.
Yeah.
And that was probably due to someone where they shouldn't have been.
I see.
Crossing a line, or crossing in front of the train, or someone being where they shouldn't have been.
That's what you don't want to hear as a motorist or a pedestrian.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. And the thing you got to remember is trains don't stop quickly.
Right.
They stop. They're pretty good, but they don't stop quickly. Not nearly as fast as a bus or a vehicle. And in the environment that we have here in Portland, Oregon, the slick rails, the leaves on the rails, it further decreases the train's ability to stop quickly.
Right.
So we really need that separation between bikes, peds, autos, emergency vehicles, et cetera, to maintain the transit system.
Right. Right. Well, I think the clear visual controls and everything, and the sense that those are standing proud of the ground in inclement weather and rain and all that, that's going to help them stick out. You were showing me a button earlier that had been there since, what did you say, like 1989 maybe?
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially when the tracks were in.
Yes.
And it's still hanging in there, but it's a little lower and not quite as bright, so I can see where from a visual aspect that is going to stand out. So.
Yeah, exactly. The existing domes that are there now, they're concrete, and over time they wear, they age, and they just look like another part of the roadway. It's not delineating. It's not clear enough to a motorist.
Right.
The tactile is there. You're going to feel it when you drive.
Right.
But we're really looking for visual and tactile for motorists. So I can see the white line, I can see the stripe, I can see the bump, and when I hit it with my car, oh yeah, I'm going to feel it. And I know right away I shouldn't be driving here. I need to pull back over into my own lane.
Gotcha. So you were saying that this is a fairly new project. These have been in for about a week. Correct. And that your best feedback right now is from some of the operators, just to kind of see what because they're front row. Correct. They're front row to the problem. So then will that go into more of a data-driven approach at some point, or is it just kind of, like you were saying, you were kind of viewing the street and trying to see what you were seeing? I mean, I think that's one of the best ways to kind of understand a problem is firsthand.
Exactly. So our train operators, they are our frontline employees. Mm-hmm. They're going to see, and their feedback is going to be the best for the engineering team and the maintenance team. Is it working? Is it not? Do we need to adjust? What are the things that we need to do? And I wish there was some data set we could be looking at.
Yeah.
Right? There's no real empirical evidence. It's going to be mostly anecdotal. Hey, this seems to be working. Right. Or I've seen fewer cars. There's really no way other than to send people out and actually record how many cars go by and how many are coming into our right-of-way. There's really not a lot of hard data that we can use to evaluate. Right. And so I'd be interested if you have that, any suggestions, any other transit agencies that have that hard data, or even municipalities that have that kind of threshold for reporting, or they have that data set, or they have those empirical numbers on how to go about doing that. I would be very interested.
Okay. Well, I think that's the power of the internet right now and of videos is if we can get this idea that you've implemented so well to kind of transmit across the transportation industry. That's how ideas start and get going. And you were saying you've been an engineer. You're an engineer here for 18 years.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So, I'm not an engineer, as I said before, but there's some things that, like, doing something is better than nothing. You have a problem, try to do a countermeasure and see if it takes hold. And
yes.
I would think that's gratifying as an engineer, where you can make a change that's going to improve for your operators, for passengers, and everything.
Yeah, for the city at large. It's going to benefit not only the folks that use our system every day, but the traveling public as well. And if it prevents an accident, if it prevents an incident, an injury, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
that's exactly what we're looking for.
Well, kudos to you for making the move. And thanks so much for inviting us down here. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Hey, we saw a little action today. We saw a little activity down here, and hopefully that was helpful for anyone that's considering some type of a countermeasure like this that might help them, like hopefully it's going to help Matt in the whole city. So
absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.